Well, let's move on to stories from here in Ghana. And Ghana has made some advancement in its bid to host the Continental Free Trade Area headquarters for the African Union. This follows the decision by the AU Commission to dispatch a 10-member delegation to inspect facilities earmarked for the office accommodation and other auxiliary services within the Central Business District of Accra. Ebenezer Sabote has more in the following report.
The bid to host the headquarters of a Continental Free Trade Agreement Secretariat in Accra, when successful, will make Ghana a trade hub as far as creating significant jobs for the citizenry. Minister for Information Kojo Ponkroma addressed the media after leading a government delegation to meet an inspection team from the African Union to assess Ghana's preparedness for hosting the secretariat.
Be the headquarters of this entire organization. It will come with about 100 jobs associated with it, and it will give Ghana an opportunity to be at the forefront of driving that agenda. The delegation is from the African Union, and they are here to inspect our preparedness as a country. In the next coming days, we would have the opportunity to show to them the office accommodation, the residential accommodation, the ancillary facilities that, are required to host a facility like that. And it is our expectation that Ghana hopefully should be successful in this enterprise and to bring this one home.
The team will be presenting a report to the chairman of the African Union after its assessment of some accommodation facilities provided by Ghana to be used for the office secretariat. Rosette Kindi-Katunje is Director of Integration at the Bureau of the AU Chairman's Office. She has been speaking about the visit to the country.
Of assessing how the member states that have offered Ghana Inclusive can contribute in a very significant and a very real way in actualizing the objectives and aspirations of the continent regarding the African continental free trade area. As you know, this is going to be one of the most significant of our AU Agenda 2063 flagship projects. And so we look forward to working with Ghana to see how best we can assess and validate that which you have so generously offered to the continent.
Ghana is competing with 6 other countries, including Ethiopia, for the headquarters of a Continental Free Trade Agreement. Ebenezer Sabote reports for Joy Business.
Now, local companies within the petroleum ecosystem have been urged to form joint venture partnerships with indigenous equity participation. This will maximize benefits from contracts signed in the upstream petroleum sector. Despite local content legislation, some multinational oil and gas companies outsource contracts to foreign companies, citing the lack of capacity by local firms to execute them. As a result, Tullow Ghana has committed to award 80% of contracts to local businesses. Charles Aite has more in this report.
Many local companies have expressed concern over not being able to win contracts in the upstream oil and gas sector. The main reason is that they lack the requisite technical capacity to take on contracts in the upstream oil and gas sector. In this regard, Tullow Oil Ghana has embarked on various workshops to not only equip these local firms, but also expose them to ready avenues in the upstream sector. Here's local content manager of Tullow, Ms. Jennifer Bruce Konwa, who spoke at the joint venture and permitting seminar held by Tullow Ghana.
Between 2010 and 2018, we awarded contracts worth $16.4 billion US, out of which $10.66 billion was awarded to indigenous and joint venture companies with indigenous equity participation. For 2019, our target is to achieve 80% of contract commitments with local businesses' participation and also achieve a 25% spend specifically with indigenous companies.
Meanwhile, the Petroleum Commission has urged all multinational oil firms to strictly abide by the law of engaging only local firms enlisted on their registry. Nana Ikia J is head of legal for the Petroleum Commission.
A rig or an FPSO, you should be part of it. At the very least, just looking and learning over a period would make you better.
Meanwhile, Cabinet has also approved a new policy on local content and participation in the country's downstream and upstream industry. This policy is intended to ensure a Ghana-driven and ownership of petroleum downstream industry, capable of attracting increased local value-added investment and enhancing job opportunities. The new policy framework covers areas such as trading, shipping and bulk distribution of petroleum products, as well as infrastructural development in the petroleum sector, such as construction of port discharge facilities, processing and petrochemical plants.
While still in this space, the Africa Center for Energy Policy is calling for further review of non-performing petroleum agreements in the country. Currently, only 2 out of 15 existing agreements are said to be performing after the recent ITLOS ruling. Bemboache is Executive Director of ASAP.
Even though the process was published and submissions to the process have been published, we want to ensure that there is some amount of fairness to those who applied, because we realize that even though it was for direct negotiation, more than one company applied for each of the 2 blocks. That automatically requires that you have a fair system to apply to those who apply for those blocks. So if you have 2 companies applying for 1 block, then they have to compete on their terms to ensure that we are fair to those companies who applied for them. We don't want to see any underhand dealings that would give away the block to one to the disadvantage of the other. So we want to see some fairness in that process of direct negotiation. There is 1 block that was also given to GNPC, and we keep reminding the ministry that the fact that the block has been given to GNPC doesn't mean that GNPC can just go and bring a partner to participate in the block. The law actually requires that in the selection of a partner, when a block is granted GNPC, we should subject the selection of the partner to the EMP Act, Section 10 of the Act, which requires that we either go for competitive tendering for that partnership or a direct negotiation as prescribed under the law. So we are keenly monitoring how that is also treated, because if we allow that to happen, that GNPC can just bring in a partner, that can become a backdoor to the contracting regime or the open and competitive tendering regime that we are actually institutionalizing. So we want to also see that we are not using GNPC as a backdoor to do that.
Well, turning away from oil and gas, and the Chamber of Pharmacy Ghana is lamenting the poor attitude of some medical service providers, refusing to settle arrears owed pharmaceutical industries for about 20 months. The Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber of Pharmacy, Anthony Ameka, noted this in a speech delivered at the official opening of Pills Pharmaceuticals at the Melcom Plus branch in Accra.
Some time now has been touting payments of some outstanding debts off the books of National Health Insurance Scheme. The Pharmacy Chamber, however, says many of its members have still not been offered their due. It is therefore calling on government to ensure the service providers pay the arrears owed various pharmaceutical companies which supply medicines to hospitals under the NHIS program. On the need to improve the well-being of Ghanaians and ensure access to quality and affordable medicine, the CEO of the Chamber of Pharmacy, Anthony Ameka, believes the hospitals are not being fair to pharmaceutical industries and therefore strict measures need to be taken.
Government owe from July, that the health insurance owed the service providers from July of last year. They've been able to pay up to that time. But when you go to the hospitals or the service providers, they are owing 24 months. So the government idea of trying to ensure that the health insurance scheme becomes more sustainable, what is happening at the hospitals or at the ministry or the Ghana Health Service is not trying to promote the government agenda, and it's making the government look bad, because the hospitals are not paying the pharmaceutical companies. We've met with the Minister of Health to have this discussion with him. We've met with a whole lot of stakeholders to discuss these issues with them. But we could realize that because of lack of supervision, they are not complying with payment models that is agreed between them and then the suppliers.
He was speaking at the official opening of Pills Pharmaceutical at the Melcom Plus branch at Industrial Area in Accra. Mr. Ameka added some pharmaceutical industries have showed interest in moving to the manufacturing park to begin production. He believes the industry can produce enough to supply Ghanaians and the whole of West Africa under the Pharmaco Village initiative.
Currently, we have some companies that are almost ready to move to the park to start production in Ghana. We think that Ghana stands the chance to supply medicines throughout the whole of West Africa because we have a very strong regulator, that's the FDA, and then that will be able to supervise most of the medicine or product that is manufactured locally. And in that case too, if there's any emergency, they will just allow, they just involve one or two companies to supply to solve those emergency or those issues on the ground. So we are in for that, and we are taking every step to ensure that that dream is achieved.
The chamber recommended that procurement for medicine under the framework contract policy should be decentralized to regions to create opportunities for many companies. Albert Abisio's report for Joy Business.
Well, meanwhile, the Chamber of Pharmacy says only 1,200 drugs in the country are duly registered by the Food and Drugs Authority. CEO of the Chamber of Pharmacy Ghana, Anthony Ameka, puts the blame on the high charges by the authority. Drug importers will have to pay about $23,500 for both factory inspection and drug registration for 5 years, whilst neighboring countries pay less than 1/4 for the same services. Currently, Parliament is pushing for a downward review to $7,500 for the same service.
We've also identified the high costs or the high fees charged by the regulator, that's the Food and Drugs Authority. Currently, you pay $20,000 for 5 years for factory inspection. Then you pay, in addition, $3,600 for the registration of the product for every 3 years, whilst our neighboring country in Nigeria pays $750 for 5 years. Fortunately, we've had a very good cooperation with the Food and Drugs Authority, and we've agreed to review the fees charged by FDA. Currently, there's a bill before Parliament for the review of the prices of medicines. We are doing this through the support of Star Ghana.
So what's the reviewed price that has gone to Parliament?
The proposed price is we'll have $7,500 for the factory inspection fee, then $1,200 for product registration, but it's for 5 years. But the subsequent review will be $1,000 for 5 years.
Well, as part of the Joy Business Health and Wellness Trade Show slated for the 30th of May to the 1st of June, we have introduced a special segment which seeks to encourage workers to take their health seriously. The Corporate Health and Wellness series would feature different companies and workers in a quest to promote good health among employees in a run-up to the main event at the end of the month. To kickstart the series, my colleague Sarah Josu has been hanging out with some staff of Cow Bank at their head office here in Accra. She filed this report.
Nothing compares to a company that tries to figure out the right solution to combat rising health issues and healthcare costs and implement wellness programs for success. Owing to this, Cow Bank has provided a state-of-the-art gymnasium at their head office to enable staff keep healthy. The Chief Operating Officer of Cow Bank, Charles Amoa, urged employers to put measures in place in order to promote the well-being of their employees.
I will say that organizations should encourage their staff to exercise. Where the organization have the funding, they should put up a structure like this so that their staff can have the time to exercise and improve upon their health. If where they can't put it up, they should motivate them to go for for Saturday work, organize communal work, and help their staff to exercise so that their health can be improved.
Paul, Ben, Michael, and Ben, yes, there were 2 Bens, are all employees of Cowbank who made good use of the gym. They told the CEO of Nova Wellness Center and resource person for the Joy Business Health and Wellness Series, Dr. Nashali Dodo, and I, what motivates them, and offered some advice to other working individuals.
It's refreshing to leave the office decks and then come to the gym and try and work out and take away the stress. Once I'm done, I get home, I'm good to sleep.
Excellent.
And I wake up the next day refreshed and I'm back to job, and then I continue with my work. So it's really fun to be here after work and then work out.
Sometimes people also worry that working out can cause problems like heart attacks and things like that. But what would you say? Have you noticed any difference since you've been doing this?
Yeah, from the onset, my BP was very high. So I was told I had to come for training. So I stick to it, and all of a sudden, it has reduced rather drastically.
So your blood pressure has dropped?
Yes.
From working out? Wow, that's excellent. That's wonderful. So are you taking less medication now since the pressure has dropped?
Because I used to take it daily.
Okay.
But now, sometimes 3-4 days before I take it.
Wow.
Because anytime I check, it is within.
It's down. Okay. You tell us, working out, what does it do for you? Generally, somebody who has never worked out before and is listening to you now, what type of advice can you give them?
Okay. It's a good exercise. Working out is a good exercise. And moreover too, as you do it, said by my other colleagues, you're always fit. And with the fitness and ease of stress, you're always refreshed for the other day's business. And it always affects the business productivity positively.
Okay. Tell me why at this time of the night when you should be getting ready to go to bed, you're here lifting some weights.
Well, basically, I do this because I want to lose some weight health-wise.
Okay.
And also to be able to stay fit. In a line of work, you need a lot of stamina throughout the day. Before I started exercising, I used to get tired a lot doing little things.
Okay.
But now I can go throughout the day without getting tired, just thanks to exercising daily. I do it like 3 times a week. So with those days I'm it helps me. It also helps to condition my heart so I don't become prone to heart disease.
That's excellent.
And I would just like to chip in this, Ben, with those who are out there who also have similar goals, just like yours, what would you tell them pertaining to their diet? I mean, how should we go about? Should they stick to a strictly vegan diet, or they can do the ketogenic thing? How should they go about their dieting?
Basically, everybody's body is different. It depends. Some can do the ketogenic diet and it will not work for them. Some can also go vegan and it will not work for them. Some can only go lean proteins and it will work for them perfectly. So it depends on which. So your best option is to see a dietitian first of all to determine your body type before you take on a diet and before you reach exercising. And mainly, your goal should be determination, because this cannot be done without determination.
Reporting for Joy Business, Sarah Josu.
Well, be on the lookout for the Health and Wellness Trade Show. We can't talk about healthy living and leave our sports, right? Well, this year's Joy Sports Invitational Tournament comes off on the 25th of May at the Armed Forces Sports Complex in Birmingham. Call Angels, a subsidiary of New Crystal Health Center in Tema, will be coming in as debutants as they are already firing on all cylinders. Babatando stopped by their offices, and manager Selasi Kunocho and Human Resource Director Joseph Ajeteje could not hold their fire.
Call Angel is a subsidiary of New Crystal Health Services. And with Call Angels, we deal in ambulance services. We help people, and we do it with professionalism and a lot of energy. And that is exactly what we are going to bring on the field with the Joy Sports Invitational. Like you said, you see us as a small number, but we do, but then we have a lot of voice, you know. Our voice is loud even though we are small. So that is what we are going to do on the field. Even though you see us in a small number, we are going to go on the field and conquer. Guys, we are going to go on the field and do what? And conquer. So for the first time, Joy Sports Invitation is going to hear of us. We are going to participate in all the events and we are going to win all the trophies.
We have the people. You are talking about New Crystal. You are talking about people delivering health services to the good people of this country. We just want to show the world and show Ghana that we are not only good in the hospitals and in the ambulances, but wherever human strength is needed, we are there. And so we are coming with power, we are coming with vim. And every team or every competitor should just be ready for us because we are coming to walk over all of you. We have the men.
Wow. Wait, should we not be scared? Because we know what you guys in the hospitals do. You have all sorts of drugs. Are you not coming to daze people, put anesthesia on people for them to, you know?
Whichever means possible, that will give us our wealth. We are ready to come and conquer. So our competitors should be ready because we are coming with our full accoutrement. We are coming fully prepared. And so they should be ready for us.
Looks like there are exciting days ahead. Well, be on the lookout for that one as well, the Joy Sports Invitational on the 25th of May. Now, telecommunications giant MTN says it is committed to fulfilling its promises to subscribers within the context of declaring 2019 as customer year. Senior Manager, that is commercial, in charge of trade and sales, Northern Business District, Simon Amo, has been speaking at the ongoing annual Ashanti Fest that provides one of the platforms to reward customers in that region. Prince Apia joined the exercise and has details in this report.
Hundreds of customers, business partners and other residents of Kumasi joined MTN staff for a walk and later medical screening over the weekend. Simon Amo, a senior commercial manager in charge of sales and trade, Northern Business District of MTN. He believes such exercise is very important to enhance productivity at the workplace.
The MTN Foundation rests on three pillars: the pillar of economic empowerment, the pillar of education, and the pillar of health. So today's activity happens to fall under the pillar of health, where we think people would have to be able to exercise. There are certain basic ailments that require just a good sweat and they are gone and exercise. So today's event, which happens to be a walkathon of the past part of the Ashanti Fest, is the health walk bit of it. So aside the exercise, we're also doing some health screening to be able to ensure people fully stay healthy. If you have good health, it means you can go and work, go run your business, get money, and come back to buy our products and services. We are the market leaders, so for sure, the more people stay healthy, the more they patronize our services. Because a healthy nation is a wealthy nation, like I've said. People stay healthy, go to work, get money, and come back and buy from us.
Mr. Amo also stated that MTN's commitment to giving its customers improved services is still on course. It is part of activities lined up for the Ashanti Fest celebrations in Kumasi. Prince Apia reporting.
And on that healthy note, we end Business Live tonight. Thanks for watching. My name is Darryl Kwao. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. We are back same time tomorrow.